All right, Shalom, Shalom. Kahalayam La Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone that rule and teach well. Much peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect that are pushing this word and truth and sincerity of heart. Shalom. It's the brother Batak back again through the spirit with another lesson, and Lord willing, this lesson be edifying. So this lesson that I'm going to be doing is basically inspired. The inspiration came from this video done by Elder, um, the elder out of Dallas, Elder Yashawamba, which is page name is Remnant Save 144. Subscribe and be edified. This video, Joseph, Mary, and marriage customs, as the scripture has said, inspired me to ask the chat a couple questions concerning marriage, more specifically um, about why does the father of the of the father of his daughter, of course, walks his daughter down the aisle and hands her to her husband. So let's see what it says. It says, can you explain why the father walks the daughter down the aisle and hands her to her husband? Yeah, this tradition has a pretty layered history, and it hits differently for people once they know where it comes from, where it started. Historically, the customs comes from patriarchal marriage systems, where a woman was considered under the authority of her father until marriage. See? So, this is something that you need to understand about marriage, understand about the ancient way of doing things, because ultimately we're going to go back to these ancient ways of doing things. This is the book of hold on, Jeremiah, Old Paths. Jeremiah 6 and 6, it says, thus said Yahweh, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths. Where is the good way, and walk therein? And ye shall find rest for your souls. But they have said we will not walk therein. So we want to seek out the old paths, the ancient way of doing things, because this new way of this new bullshit is corruption, it's wickedness, it's it's not properly balanced. It's not righteous. It's not the proper way of doing things, man. And it's because of the rulership of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. And I gotta remember this precept in the book of Tobit, chapter 7, I believe verse 14. Yeah, this is one precept that I learned from watching the video that the elder did. Out of this video, this is a precept that I learned from this video in the book of Tobit, chapter 7. I gotta remember to bring that out. But I'm gonna go back here to the chat. It says, let me see, where did I leave off at? I'm gonna start again just from the top. It says, historically, the custom comes from the patriarchal marriage systems where a woman was considered under the authority of her father until marriage. That's why the scripture says this: keep thy daughter in straightly. Sirach 26 and 10. If thy daughter be shameless, keep her in straightly, lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty. See? So, oh, there's another precept that the elder brought out in the lesson. Because a woman was under the authority and responsibility of her father. Let's see, what was that scripture? He loses sleepeth. Here it is. Sirach chapter 24. I'm sorry, Ecclesiasticus, Ecclesiasticus, or better known as Sirach, chapter 42, verse 9. The father waketh for the daughter when no man knoweth, and the care for her taketh away sleep. When she is young, lest she pass away the flower of her age, and being married, lest she should be hated. Because there was the elder also went into this in the video. Um, you had to keep watch over your daughter, of course, because she's your responsibility. And it's if you if she is not a virgin when it comes time for marriage, that can bring shame upon her. Just to put it in simple words. So and the elder also goes into that in this video, but I just want to focus totally on this. The father walking the woman, his daughter, down the aisle and hand her to her husband because the father has that authority over the woman. That's why it's important that a woman has a father. A lot of these women in society don't have fathers. So they ever had a man, they don't understand the authority of a man. They don't respect the authority of a man because what? They don't have fathers. They never had that example. They never had that example growing up, so they're not accustomed to it. And all of this is done specifically by design by Esau Edom, the so-called white man. He's destroyed. He took the fathers out of the house and destroyed the house structure. I'm gonna type in something on my other phone. Actually, you know what? I gotta just remember that little oil, and I remember. I'm gonna read some more of this because the taking the fathers out of the house dealt tremendous damage. Let me see what Google gives me. All right, I typed in what are the side effects of removing father from household structure. This is removing the father from the household structure can have significant long-term consequences on child development, family stability, and social outcomes. Research indicates that children raised in father absent homes are more high risk, are at least high risk for various negative outcomes, including lower academic achievement, mental health issues, and economic instability, emotional and psychological impact on children. Feelings of abandonment. Children often experience low self esteem, feel unlovable, or believing something is wrong with them. Mental health issues. There is a high risk of depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. Behavioral problems. Children, particularly boys, may display increased aggression, externalizing behaviors, acting out, and difficulty with social adjustment. Attachment and trust issues. Children may struggle to form close bonds or conversely become overly attached to caregivers. So as you can see, this is something that Esau very knows a lot about. He knows about this. I'm gonna go down to the physical and social risks. This is social abuse, substance abuse, increased likelihood of drug, alcohol, and tobacco abuse, sexual health. Girls from father absent homes are more likely to experience early sexual activity, teen pregnancy, or to become teenage parents. That's why the scripture says what did I just read? That's why the father needs to be there in order to keep his daughter under wraps. Because if she's not being watched over, Because let's be honest, man, these women don't do what they supposed to do. Some women do, but most of them don't. They're raising their daughters to be women that are promiscuous, telling them things like play the field. Just if he don't work, get you another one. No, that's not. That creates a cycle of whoredom. That's why the scripture says, thy daughter and I shall be a harlot in the streets, because that's the culture that's pushed here. But this is gonna be destroyed, man. We're going back to the old way of doing things. So Sirach, I'm gonna read it again. Sirach 49, 42 and 9. The father watches for the daughter. Key word is said, father, when no man knoweth, and the care for her taketh away sleep. See, you got to make sure you're watching your daughter, make sure she's not being promiscuous. Well, once she reaches that age, when she gets past the follow her age, you got to keep her in straightly. Don't give her too much liberty, because liberty is going to destroy them. You know, if you give a woman liberty, if you give your daughter liberty to do what she wants, that is a recipe for disaster, and we see that all throughout America. That's why the women are the way they are now. They don't have no shame. They just do what they want, and that's not how a woman's supposed to be. And the man that's supposed to teach her that is her father. But if she didn't have a father growing up, how is she gonna know that? See? So same thing with men. These so-called Israelites, men out here, they are the way they are. They are because they don't have a father, and it's very important that they have a father, because you got women raising kids. It's been reported statistically that most of the incarcerations of our people, so-called Israelites, so-called black men, they come from single-parent households, and that's a fact. You can look that up. So you see the impact that a father has on a household structure, and even Google. Esau knows this very much. That's why he pushes things like welfare, kick the man out of the house. You know, he made the society so dysfunctional by design. So it says, the father waketh for the waketh for the daughter when no man knoweth, and the care for her taketh away sleep. When she is young, lest she pass the flower of her age, and being married, lest she should be hated. So, she has to keep her virginity, because it's all a part of the process of her being married and not having any shame on her. Because if she's not a virgin, and she don't provide, her father or her parents don't provide that cloth of proof of virginity, then she could be shamed, and in some cases even killed, if I'm not mistaken. So it is important that a woman has a father, man. It's important that a man has a father to teach him. That's why the scripture says, train up a child in the way they shall go. Let's see, train up a child. We didn't have that proper training from our fathers. Proverbs 21, 22, and 6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. See? So if you don't have that training, you basically out here, the scripture says a horse left by his headstrong, nobody can tell you anything, because like you didn't, when it was time for you to get that training that you needed, you didn't receive it, or you received it from Esau's bullshit ass school system, in which that's not real training, proper training. They don't train you, you know, they don't train you behavior, or how to conduct yourself to society. They don't really teach you nothing valuable that you can take to the world. Math and science and all this other shit. I mean, it's not really a school of learning. Like, you don't really learn anything, man. You learn Esau's bullshit and his history, and you know, it don't really teach you how to live. The Bible does. This is the real book that you need to be studying. Sirach chapter 30, verse 8, it says, a horse not broken becometh headstrong, and a child left to himself will become willful. See? So a horse not broken becomes headstrong, and that's what a lot of A lot of these kids grow up that way. I was an example of that. You can't you have to you conduct yourself like nobody can tell you anything because you become headstrong. But as you get older and you learn, you see how things are, you realize that that wasn't the right form of thinking. You need instruction. You should be want to be instructed. But that is something that you miss from your childhood by not having that authoritarian that that father figure, to teach you and to make you understand these things. So you grow up without it. So let's see. Historically, the custom comes from patriarchal marriage systems where a woman was considered under the authority of her father until marriage, and then under her husband. See, under her husband. Wives, submit to your husbands because submit. You're supposed to, just like you submit to your father. Ephesians 5 and 22. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. See? Colossians 3 and 18. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as it is fit in the Lord. See? So you women, you're supposed to submit to your husband like you would do unto your father, because once your father hands you to your husband, basically he has the authority over you now. He is responsible for you. The scripture says, "He that getteth the wife getteth the possession." Sirach or Ecclesiasticus 36 and 24. He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest. So when you Salaki, I'm a little excited. Forgive me, I need to slow down. When you get a wife, you begin at the possession. When in this world, when you say things like that, people get all triggered and get all butthurt and say, "Oh, it's toxic masculinity," and you're nothing but controlling. That is what a man's supposed to do. A man's supposed to be um, in the position of control and guardianship. That's what the word. Literally your responsibility. But when you acknowledge and you response, responsibility. Uh, really, I cannot spell it right now. Res- Responsibility. When you have responsibility and you conduct yourself like you know what you're responsible for, know what you got to take care of, women want to call it toxic masculinity. No, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a man. Responsibility says the fact of condition of being responsible, accountable, or answerable, meaning that for which one is responsible, a trust, a duty. See, if you're responsible, it says accountable for one's actions, answerable to another for an act performed or its consequences. Respond, answer to promise, respond, reliable, trustworthy. So when you have responsibilities, when you're a husband, you're responsible legally. You're responsible for taking care of this woman. And the only time that women want to acknowledge a man being a man is when it comes to things like alimony. Oh, you're responsible for taking care of me, but guess what? I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you not to wear that. I can't tell you not to do this. I can't tell you not to do this, or do this, that, and the third. But I'm responsible for taking care of you. So it's only when they want to one. It's only when it's something that benefits them. That's when they want a man to be a man, and that's what I'm trying to get to the point of. You want me to take care of you financially like I'm supposed to do as a man, but when I tell you not to do this, or I want you to do this, or correct this, fix this, oh, you don't tell me what to do. What? So it's just the way this society is, man. And women don't understand that dynamic, or they don't care to. This is the way Babylon is. This is where America is. So it's that do as thou wilt spirit. All right. It says walking her down. Sorry, I got some slow traffic in my way. Walking her down the aisle and giving her away symbolized a transfer of guardianship, property. See, it's a legal transaction. It says, and responsibility. So that's why the scripture says, what? He that getteth the wife beginneth a possession. You supposed to take care of her. She is literally legally your possession. You cannot put her away according to the law. And this is not how things are in America. Um, yeah. Come on, dude. Really? It's the book of Exodus 21 and 9. It says, if he have betrothed her unto his son, talk about a woman, he shall deal with her after the manner of daughters. If he take him another wife, her food, you gotta feed her raiment, clothing, and her duty of marriage, which is what sex, shall not be diminished. So when you're a husband, according to the Israelite law, you have certain responsibilities that you have to do for your wife, for your wife. You can't. You have to feed her, you have to clothe her, and you have to have sex with her. That's for the duty of marriage. You cannot diminish any of that from any of your wives. And if he do not these three unto her, then shall she go out free without money. So you must you have certain um responsibilities as a husband, according to Israelite law. And these things are gonna return, these things are gonna come back. We're going back to the old way of doing things, man. According to the law. The law is gonna be established in the earth under the empire of Israel. Oh, that's a lesson right there. I'm gonna finish reading this. It's walking her down the aisle and giving her away symbolized a transfer of guardianship, partner, property, because basically you'll basically belong to your husband now, legally, and responsibility. In medieval Europe, marriages were often economic or political arrangements, and this ritual made that transfer public and official. So yeah, in its original form, it wasn't romantic. It was legal and transactional. See, so how it evolved over time. Weddings shifted for many families. I'm I didn't read all of this. See, this is the westernization. Esau, Edomite, changing shit. It says over time, especially in modern Western marriages, the meaning shifted. For many families today, it's less about ownership and more about honor and protection, support and blessing, continuity, which I'm not gonna read any of those. So it says why it's controversial now. Many critique the tradition because it can imply a woman's needs permission to marry. It censors male authority. Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. It doesn't reject modern value. It doesn't reflect modern values of autonomy and equality, which is this is all bullshit. This is why this is the westernization of ancient tradition. That's why you will see alternatives like both parents walking down the bride, the couple walking together, parents being acknowledged without escorting, blah, blah, blah. The bottom line, the tradition started as a symbol of control, but today is often reinterpreted as a symbol of love, support, and family connection, or intentionally redesigned to fit couples' values. So, as you can see, the true roots of it, just giving a little example of it, and I'm gonna bring out this precept that I learned recently in the book of Tobit that shows you that very same sentiment that we're going into, which Elder Yasser Wamba went into in this video, which is a very edifying. I suggest you brothers check that out, that listen out. All right, it's the book of Tobit, chapter 7. I'm gonna start at verse 10. It says, "For it is meet that thou shouldest marry my daughter. Nevertheless, I will declare unto thee the truth. I have given my daughter in marriage to 7 men who died that night. They came in unto her. Nevertheless, for the present be merry. But Tobias said, I would eat nothing here till we all agree and swear one to another. Raguel said, Then take her from henceforth according to the manner, for thou art her cousin, and she is thine, and the uh, merciful power give you good success in all things. Then he called his daughter Sarah, and said, and she came unto her father, and he took her by the hand, and gave her to be wife to Tobias, saying, Behold, take her after the law of Moses, and lead her away to thy father. And he blessed him, and called Edna his wife, and took paper, and did write an instrument of covenants, and sealed it. Then they began to eat. After Raguel called his wife Edna, and said unto her, Sister, prepare another chamber, and bring her in thither. Which when she had done as he had bidden her, she brought her thither, and she wept, and she received the tears of her daughter, and said unto her, Be of good comfort, my daughter. The Lord of heaven and earth give thee joy from this thy sorrow. Be of good comfort, my daughter. So, as you can see, the father took, um, it says in verse 13, he took her by the hand and gave her to Tobias for as a wife. That shows you two things: the father is in control of his daughter, and usually the father picks who he wants his daughter to marry, and not the daughter picking herself. So you see that that was basically what they do today. The father handed Sarah to Tobias to marry. So that's basically the scripture, exactly what happens today. Fathers walking their daughters down the aisle, and this was an ancient tradition. So um, that's where that comes from, that ancient tradition of women being handed off to their husband by their fathers, and it's in the Bible, literally. So I just wanted to do this quick lesson concerning this matter because, like, it was something I was thinking about and pondering on. And we're gonna go back to the ancient ways. The laws are gonna be pushed in the earth, and these customs are gonna be continued. And he also wrote it on a paper and signed it. Instrument of covenants, verse 14. So it's just like a example of a marriage certificate, if you will. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Things are gonna return back to the old days, old way of doing things. If the Spirit allowed, Lord allow, I'll come back with a part two to this. So with that, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I'm gonna close out by giving all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Bakahakadash. Double honors to the apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well.